What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weekly GCap, the only source you'll ever need to catch up on all the gaming news from the last week. As always, if there's only a few particular stories that interest you and you just want to go ahead and skip to them, I have timestamps both in the description as well as when you go to scrub across like the time bar for the video, the chapter should show up there. But anyways, we got quite a couple stories to go through, so let's go ahead and get right into this. First things first, as always, let's go ahead and go over all the games that were released in the last week. So first, May 31st, we had F1 24. Then on May 30th, we had Humanity as well as Tiny Terry's Turbo. And then on May 29th, we had Capes, Nine Souls, and Squad Busters. And then on May 28th, we had the re-release of Multiverses. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you guys gotten a chance to pick up or play any of these games? Next up, Chivalry 2 is free on Epic Games. It is free until June 6th at 11 a.m. EST. This game is an absolute blast, and you might as well redeem it because there's no better price than free. Next up, we got the June PS Plus Essential Games for you guys. Those being SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake, AEW Fight Forever, and Streets of Rage 4. This is a very solid lineup overall, and let me just say, SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake, if you're a bit older like me and you grew up with the original SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, or hey, even if you're younger and you played the remake that came out just a couple years ago and you liked that, I can highly recommend this game. It is a very faithful successor to that. Otherwise, AEW Fight Forever is a solid wrestling game, and Streets of Rage 4, well, I mean, it's Streets of Rage 4. It's the fourth game in one of the most iconic beat-em-up game series of all time, and despite the fact that there was quite a long way between Streets of Rage 3 and Streets of Rage 4, I'd say it was quite worth it. Streets of Rage 4, it's an absolutely amazing game. Next up, to coincide with PlayStation's Days of Play event, which they do be usually towards the end of May, early June, around there, they announced a bunch of games that are coming to the PS Plus Extra / Premium service. So, first things first, PSVR 2 games. These will be available on June 6th for premium members only. Those being Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, Walkabout Mini Golf, Synth Riders, Before Your Eyes, which is an amazing game, by the way. Highly recommend that. One of my favorite VR titles ever. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, Chapters 1 and 2. And next, they are finally adding brand new PS2 games to the service. Now, they do have a few PS2 games on the service, but that's with their old emulator that they used to use. But this one is a new and maybe possibly improved one. I thought the old one was fine, but yeah, who knows? Maybe there was a specific reason on the back end as to why they couldn't continue to use it. Maybe it was compatibility, but regardless, the PS2 games that are coming to the service are Tomb Raider Legend, Star Wars The Clone Wars, and Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. These will be hitting the service June 11th, and again, only for premium members. A very solid lineup. That's a great Tomb Raider game right there. Star Wars The Clone Wars, that's a great Star Wars game right there. And Sly Cooper, if you haven't played Sly Cooper before, please give it a shot if you have PS Plus Premium. I'm hoping that if enough people try it out, maybe Sony will think about bringing back Sly Cooper, at least I hope, because this was one of my favorite 3D platformer mascots and game series back in the day, and we haven't seen an entry in it since Thieves in Time on the PS3 / PS Vita. And finally, they announced some games that'll be coming to both Extra and Premium members. So it doesn't matter if you have either one there, as long as you have at least Extra, you'll get access to these games. But those are Dredge, which is available May 29th, which means it's available now. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, which is also available now. Cricket 24, which will be available June 5th. And Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the Definitive Edition, which will be available on June 7th. So a very solid lineup overall. And keep in mind, this is not the last of the games that we'll be getting for this service. This month, I mean, we have the PS Plus Essential games, which are already announced, but later in the month, about 2-3 weeks from now, they're going to be announcing another lineup of games that'll be coming to Extra and Premium. It's also worth noting that there's a ton of sales going on right now. The PS5 itself is very heavily discounted. The PSVR 2, I believe, is upwards of like $100 off. So yeah, a lot of great sales, both between physical, digital games, the hardware itself. So definitely, if you've been looking to pick some games up or just, maybe even pick up a PS5, now would definitely be a great time to do it. Next up, we finally learned what platforms the Dragon Quest III remake will be coming to. So, this coming from Dragon Quest on X, quote, "The legend of Erdrick draws near." And then below that, they have a video where the logo slowly animates in, and at the bottom, it shows that the platforms that this game will be releasing on are Nintendo Switch, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Steam and Windows, and yeah, there's no PS4 or Xbox One version, which is a little interesting because, while yes, they are technically last-gen consoles, this game is releasing on the Nintendo Switch, which is obviously much weaker in terms of hardware compared to the PS4 and Xbox One. So I thought that was interesting because if it can run on a Switch, it can definitely run on those consoles, and it was actually just reported by Sony recently that half of their user base is still on PS4. So they have 49 million monthly active users on PS5 as well as 49 million monthly active users on PS4. So I feel like they're kind of leaving a lot of money on the table there by not releasing it on those platforms. But that being said, there we have it. And by the way, if you haven't played Dragon Quest before, if you're wondering if this is worth it, this would be a great place to dive in because this game technically is a prequel to both 1 and 2. So this will be a great place to start, and I mean, It's Dragon Quest III. It's like one of the most famous and just best in general RPGs of all time. It is an amazing game. Next up, I thought this was pretty cool, but a new multiplayer NES game enables playing over Wi-Fi. This coming from Broke Studio. Quote, Super Tilt Bro is an online platform fighting game for the NES created by Rogue or Bidden, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that name exactly, with a unique and revolutionary Wi-Fi enabled cartridge designed by Broke Studio. This game was funded with Kickstarter in 2023, and you can pre-order the game now. They also mentioned that the game is planned to be shipped around June 2024, so if you pre-order it, it should be shipped within the next month. Again, the game itself looks pretty cool, and the fact that it's an NES game that allows for Wi-Fi play, I mean, that's so cool. I had to talk about it. Next up, the LEGO The Legend of Zelda Deku tree set was announced. That's coming from LEGO and X. Quote, the hashtag LEGO The Legend of Zelda Grey Deku Tree 2-in-1 set is available September 1st, 2024. Now, if you go over to the site, it is $300 USD, but there's a lot of pieces in the set. It's also a 2-in-1 set, and when it comes to LEGO, you know, for somebody like me, because for those that don't know, I actually do collect a lot of LEGO. I looked at this and I was like, yeah, you know, that actually makes sense. That's about in the ballpark of what I expected, but I saw a lot of outrage in the comments and online. They were like, $300. Yeah, but it's like, when you buy LEGO, you're paying for a premium. I understand it is very expensive, but hey, if you're looking to get some LEGO, they do have much cheaper sets, and furthermore, if you just don't want to pay the premium for LEGO, there's many other building block alternatives out there, I'll say, that are definitely a lot cheaper. But regardless, I do understand that this is a lot of money for some plastic. Don't get me wrong, and even for me, you know, I love LEGO and I love Zelda, so I will be picking this one up, but it's definitely gonna be one of those things where it's like, yeah, $300, that is a lot of money. Next up, the Devolver Direct was announced. This coming from Gamatsu. Quote, Devolver Digital will host Games Showcase Developer Direct 2024 on June 7th at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET, the company announced. The 20-minute broadcast will feature, quote, a big handful of gaming gifts, including updates and release dates for upcoming titles, as well as some exciting new reveals, end quote. So again, this is happening June 7th, so we won't get to cover it next episode, but the episode after that will do a complete recap of everything that was announced or shown. Next up, a PlayStation State of Play was announced. That's coming from PlayStation Blog. Quote, State of Play is back. Tune in live for updates on PS5 and PSVR 2 titles, plus a look at PlayStation Studios games arriving later this year. The 30-plus minute show features 14 titles and begins May 30th at 3 p.m. PT, 6 p.m. ET, May 31st, 12 a.m. CEST, 7 a.m. GST, on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. See you then. So, this is happening quite later in the day from when I normally record these episodes, so unfortunately, I will not be able to include a recap in this video. But next week, we'll do a complete recap of everything that it was whether shown, talked about, revealed, anything. Next up, just to make everybody feel a little extra old today, Mario Kart 8 is officially 10 years old. This game released May 29th, 2014. Man, I cannot believe that this game is this old. So just for a bit of context, I was and still am a Wii U lover. I bought the Wii U during its heyday, and I absolutely loved it. And when Mario Kart 8 released and I finally got my hands on it, words cannot describe how much I adored this game. I played it like crazy, played through all the tracks, unlocked all the characters, and just, you know, I remember split screening this game with my little brother at the time, and it's such an amazing Mario Kart game. And I mean, you know, there's a reason we haven't had another one since, because it's that good that it was able to last for that long across 2 console generations. I also remember when they added the Mercedes DLC to the game, and I was looking at that like, alright, you know, that's interesting for a Mario Kart game, but, you know, that's pretty cool. All in all, I'm anticipating a brand new Mario Kart game with Nintendo's next console, but that being said, it was quite a fun ride with Mario Kart 8, and by the time the next one comes out, I'm assuming it will have been probably 11 or 12 years that Mario Kart 8 has been out since then, or by then, but yeah, Mario Kart 8, definitely an amazing racing game just in general. If you somehow haven't played it or picked it up yet, whether you have a Wii U, whether you have a Nintendo Switch, I can highly recommend it. And also, it's worth supporting that it's one of the most supported racing games of all time. On Nintendo Switch, there is dozens upon dozens of tracks. You got a lot of support. Even when the game was re-released, they had all like the booster course waves and stuff like that. Like, seriously, there was so much content there. Definitely pick it up if you've been considering it. Next up, the Nintendo Switch is officially the best-selling console in Japan. This coming from Game Data Library on X. Quote, on Famitsu sell-through, Nintendo Switch surpassed the sales of the Nintendo DS in Japan, 32,903,889 versus 32,878,490. So it beat it by, you know, a decent landslide there. And this is just insane, you know, like coming off of the Wii U, where again, as I was talking about previously, I was and still am a Wii U lover. I had it during that console's like main generation, and I absolutely loved it. But obviously, I know not a lot of people felt the same. In fact, most people didn't even understand the fact that the Wii U was a completely separate console, just because of the marketing with the gamepad, this, that, and the other. But coming off of the Wii U, which was a technical sales flop, and then releasing what is probably going to go on to be the best-selling console of all time. Right now, it's not the best-selling of all time. In Japan, it is, as we had just talked about. But this thing is literally on track to become the best-selling console of all time, and I do believe that I probably will reach that at some point, and that's just... Talk about a turnaround. That is just, it's absolutely insane. Just congratulations to Nintendo. They have had a very long but successful and great generation, I would say, between the console and the hardware itself. Aside from a few mishaps, we'll say, with like Joy-Con drift, for example, but between the games, the hardware, and all that, it's just, they've had a great generation, and I'm really excited to see what comes next. It's also good to know that with the next generation, if this one could last for 8 years, yeah, the next one will probably last for 8 to maybe even 10 years. Who knows? It seems like Nintendo's trying to squeeze everything that they can out of their consoles going forward. Next up, a new Nintendo store is opening in 2025. This coming from Nintendo. Quote, Nintendo of America today announced plans to open an official store in San Francisco's iconic Union Square, providing a way for a wide range of visitors from near and far to experience the world of Nintendo, its products, and characters. The store, called Nintendo San Francisco, will open in 2025 as the second official location in the US, joining the store in New York City. So, you know, this is quite fitting, right? You got one on the East Coast and now one on the West Coast, so no matter what side of the country you're on, you can go there. The only issue is, what if you live in the middle of the country, right? Whether you live like smack dab in the middle of the country, like just straight up in the middle, or in the middle of the South, in the middle of the North, which one do you go to? Ideally, if they were to open up another store, well, first things first, I hope they just open up more stores in general. Like, if we get to a point of where, like, maybe there's a Nintendo store in each state, I feel like that would at least be ideal. But regardless, I feel like the next step, since they have one on the East and the West, would be just putting one smack dab in the middle of the country next. Me personally, I haven't had the chance to go to the Nintendo store yet, but hey, if they start opening up more stores, and if they have one that's within, like, I'd say an hour to 3 at absolute tops away from me, then I'll go. Next up, the Dragon Quest creator has shared an update on Dragon Quest 12. Now, this game was announced a long time ago, but anyway, let's just get into this. This coming from Gamatsu. Quote, Dragon Quest series creator Yuji Horii has shared a short update on the status of Dragon Quest 12, The Flames of Fate, in celebration of Dragon Quest Day today. Quote, thank you so much to everyone for the many Dragon Quest Day congratulations. Horii said in a tweet, there has been some worry about Dragon Quest 12, but I was actually in a meeting about it until just a bit ago. While I can't share any details yet, I want it to be something worthy of the posthumous work of the two Akira Toriyama and Koichi Sugiyama, who passed away. I'll do my best. End quote. So, Dragon Quest 12, The Flames of Fate was announced back in May of 2021, and when it comes to like platforms and release dates and all that, we don't know anything yet, so it's safe to say that this will be either a current-gen only game or potentially even a next-gen game, depending on where they're at in development at the moment. We talked about many episodes ago, at least a dozen episodes ago at this point, that Dragon Quest 12 was also going to be taking a bit of a darker direction, because obviously if you look at Dragon Quest in general, there is darker themes and stories throughout the series and throughout various spin-offs and even some of the mainline games, but for the most part, like say look at the most recent entry like Dragon Quest 11, it is a bit more bright, and I would say just a bit more positive and cheerful overall. But it seems like they're, from what they've been saying at least, they really want to take things in a bit of a deeper, darker direction, similar to like say look at something like Final Fantasy 16, where yes, there has been dark games and stories throughout the Final Fantasy just series in general. 16 was really trying to go all in with a mature rating and the dark themes and the hardcore action and stuff like that. So I don't exactly know what route Dragon Quest 12 is going to take. I'm assuming it's going to stick to the typical Dragon Quest like turn-based routes, but a full-on just in general darker Dragon Quest game, I'm really excited to see what they're whipping up. I'm a huge Dragon Quest fan, so you already know how I'm watching this one like a hawk, and as soon as we know more about release dates and platforms and all that, I'll definitely let you guys know. And finally, this is huge. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming to Game Pass day one. So, they've been dropping tons of teasers for the game, and normally, in recent years, back in the day, right, like a good decade plus ago, they used to start teasing Call of Duty around like May, June time, like that was just the norm. But then around like the Warzone era started, after like Modern Warfare 2019, they started not really even talking about the games until like late July, August, sometimes even almost pushing into September. But now this year, it seems like they're really going back to the roots, because it's May, and not only did we already have the title confirmed, but we've already had multiple teasers, multiple trailers, the whole 9 yards. There hasn't been any actual like gameplay footage yet, but we've had plenty of like live action trailers and things just talking about the game. They've been posting all about it. We already know about a bunch of the pre-order bonuses. We don't have an official release date yet, but you know, Call of Duty comes out every single year, late October to, you know, sometime early to mid-November. So it'll definitely be out by sometime around then. And at this point, not only did Xbox and Microsoft themselves confirm it, because if you turn on your Xbox right now, if you have one, doesn't matter if it's Xbox One or Series X or whatever, just go to your dashboard. I like literally first thing, like no matter how many times I've turned off and turned my Xbox back on, there was always an ad at the bottom, no matter what, saying Call of Duty Black Ops 6, play it day one on Game Pass. Like it is just always there. Microsoft did say they wanted all of their first-party games to go to Game Pass day one, and I guess that even includes a juggernaut like Call of Duty. So what impact this has on the sales, I will be very interested to see if it impacts the sales at all. I mean, I assume it might, but you know, it's also going to be interesting to see how this impacts the sales of Xbox potentially around the holidays and Game Pass subscribers in general. I'm sure they'll have some either disappointing or very exciting announcements later this year when it comes to the numbers of Game Pass subscribers. There's a chance it might stay exactly the same as it is now, it might go down, or it might fly through the roof. Again, we don't have too much specific information about the game itself, but there will be a direct, like, solely dedicated to Black Ops 6 happening after the Xbox the showcase that's going to be happening on June 9th. So not during the Xbox showcase, but immediately after it, we'll have the Black Ops 6 Direct, and we'll learn more there. I'm assuming we might learn about a release date. We'll probably at least learn about beta dates and stuff like that. Pre-orders will probably go live. We'll see gameplay of the game. Maybe even, you know, they'll do what they did in previous games where, like, they show off, like, an entire campaign mission or something like that. But me, I'm a huge Call of Duty fan. I've been playing the series since Finest Hour on the PS2. I pre-ordered the most expensive edition of the game every single year, and, yeah, you know, this is another one where as soon as pre-orders go live, I'll be getting the most expensive edition of the game, and I will be heavily anticipating it because year after year, I always buy these games. I always grind them out like crazy, hit the max ranks, do all the stuff inside of the games, get the mastery camos and all that, and yeah, I'm a huge Call of Duty fan, and to say that I'm excited for Black Ops 6 would be a massive understatement. It's been 4 years since we've had a Black Ops game, the last one being Black Ops Cold War back in 2020, so it's been almost half a decade since the last Black Ops game. The longest stretch of time we had before between Black Ops games would have been 3 years, like 3 years between BO2 and BO3, or 3 years between BO3 and BO4, so to say that I'm itching to get my Black Ops fix would be quite the understatement. All the Call of Duty games have amazing campaigns and multiplayers, but Treyarch, man, they really deliver the good with the zombies. Don't get me wrong, the non-Treyarch games, they also have great zombies modes, but Treyarch, just something about Black Ops Zombies with the nice round-based experience. It just, oh man, it's different. Gets you with the nostalgia, but also just gets you with the pure excitement. It just, you know, how quality is. Treyarch just always delivers on that quality front when it comes to round-based zombies experiences, so I'm very excited for this, and as soon as we know more about the game, obviously, I'll be letting you guys know. But anyways, that's all the stories that I have for you guys this week, so now I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on everything that we talked about? Whether it's Black Ops 6 coming to Game Pass on day one, or the NES game that's gonna have Wi-Fi enabled with the cartridge and it'll let you like play multiplayer and stuff like that. Like, that is insane. And how about the Lego Legend of Zelda set? Are you gonna be picking that up despite the admittedly pretty steep price tag? Whatever it is, whatever you're thinking, I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. But anyway, this is Weekly GCap. New episodes go live every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so if you want to catch them as soon as they go live, well then I know when to be here. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.